You are now listening to The Relevant Radio Show, recording out of Studio B through WOUB. You can listen to us every Sunday at 6 p.m. on 1340 a.m. or online at woub.org/listen. And please check out our Instagram at TheRelevantOU_. That's the same as our Twitter. And I think that's how we got Twitter, Instagram. So check those out. We're just going to get right into our discussion. So first, I didn't want to hit it on a negative note. Wanted to start with something kind of positive, a little bit of uplift. So something that two celebrities that I really do love and admire, Michael B. Jordan and Zendaya, they've recently reported that instead of asking for black roles, they're now asking for white roles. And at first people were like, what? You're asking for white? I know. You're asking for white roles? Why? And they're like, well, instead of waiting for them to create new spaces for us, we're going to take over other spaces. So if you got an astronaut, and you know what I mean, or if it's a sci-fi movie and you're used to casting white people, I'm going to come in and wreck it. And the thing is that you're not going to like rechange the name. You don't need to change it to something that sounds black. I'm stepping into the character as the character is. I'm just black. So I love that. I think Michael B. Jordan's was a little less political, but Zendaya's was a little bit more intentional. Like, no, I'm trying to open up these new spaces.
My girl, she's so conscious.
Oh yeah, I love Zendaya. Next, this isn't really, I'm a Taraji fan, but I'm not going to lie, since Empire, it's not that I'm not a Taraji fan, I just wanted to do something new and really like stand out as an actress, but whatever. She is to wed NFL's Kelvin Hayden next summer.
Okay.
So I think that is exciting. The girl found love and is now getting...
I wish it was Tyrese. I wish it should have just been Tyrese.
Tyrese is problematic right now.
He's so problematic.
We just know.
I was just going to say everyone should say hi because Bam hasn't been here for like 2 weeks and then we have a special guest, so I figured
Hey y'all.
Yes, we have Bam back in the studio. We're not going to introduce her like she's new, but she's back and she's better.
I'm back and I'm better.
And then we also have Cameron Fields with us in the studio. Go ahead and say hey.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
So when you hear these two voices, you all know who you're listening to. Thank you, Jace, for that.
Of course.
Also, this is a bit, messy, but... Just Hilarious, who's the Instagram famous, then Wildin' Out, comedian, came for Amber Rose because Amber Rose made a comment basically saying like Bill Cosby should die and this, blah, 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 and kind of spewed out a little bit of quote-unquote hateful things, but people were saying in the heat, in light of him being charged and sentenced. And Just Hilarious kind of bit back and was like, okay, that's what he got 10 years for, but like, why are we condemning people to death? And you're basically just throwing out your whole little movement that you're trying to create around womanhood by condemning somebody else to death. Like, if a punishment's already been done, it's been done. What do y'all think about that? Or even just like canceling people in general?
I don't know. I'm really not eye for an eye like that, to be honest. Like, even, like, it's got to be, like, for death penalty, it's got to be, like, really, 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 really bad, in my opinion, for someone to get the death penalty.
So you're just like, it's bad, but they got
I'm for life sentences.
I'm for them life sentences.
But, like, death penalty, I feel like that's, like, just really extreme. Unless, like, someone, like, killed, like, 10 people or something like that. Like,
so you gotta be
serial killer. Like a serial killer. Yeah, like a serial killer or something like that.
But what about just canceling people in general?
I don't mind the canceling thing because everybody, you're gonna feel what you feel at the end of the day.
Right.
But who's Amber Rose? Like to cancel anybody?
Who
is she to cancel? I get what she stands for. I get what she stands for, and I get her movement, and I get what she's trying to promote. But you've done your dirt too, so you can't cancel nobody out.
Right.
Period.
Period. Go ahead, Jason. What you
gonna say? I think canceling people is kind of a waste of time because we cancel them and then we like them next week. So it's really just like a waste of energy.
Right.
Like it's just like a.
I don't know about trend. Bill though. I think this is it for Bill. I think this is the end of the road.
No, but if we didn't throw a Bill Cosby it's canceled part. Like we canceled Kanye, but people still bought his album. You cancel. I can't even think of who else. But X, Y, and Z. You say they're canceled on Twitter, and then next week you're still supporting them. So that's like. what we're talking
I
about
agree.
in general. I don't think it was appropriate for her to like wish death on someone though, but like I don't know, maybe she's going through something, maybe she's hurting.
I love Jakes when he does that. Maybe
I was
she's-
just about to say, you can't wish the death penalty on somebody. I think that's not our choice.
Did
But
she
I
say death
definitely.
penalty or did she just say
Yeah,
Or death
yeah.
in general.
I mean, death.
You can't wish death on
Yeah.
somebody. That's
Yeah.
not up for you. There's somebody that probably out here that doesn't like Amber Rose just as much. So I think it's not her place to say that. But we
Right.
can cancel him and cancel him without wishing death on him. Like, that's just karma. Be careful what you ask for. Like,
Right.
And
Right.
I'm not trying to be funny, but Bill is old, so I mean,
you might not make it.
It was also
Last
kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, it's like-
Yeah.
You know what?
this is not no young man you're canceling. This man might not last that long.
He already knew that.
No, he doesn't have the
He probably
care.
heard the comment and was like, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have
Probably.
the care he needs anymore to live like he would have been. So that's
When
that.
it comes to canceling people, does that mean that the previous stuff that they did is like null and void?
Yeah.
No, his whole
The
everybody gonna
Cosby
remember
Show
him
is
as a-
great.
That's
I
it.
love the Cosby Show.
I do.
His whole
It's
reputation
not.
is tarnished.
I love the Cosby Show, and I think that it's because somebody was like, well, isn't that like promoting rape culture because you like a show and during the time he was,
separated.
they were like
You
during the
might-
time he played Dr. Huxtable, he was doing this, and I'm like, okay, but I'm not watching it like to visualize him doing
It's
these
kind of what
things.
I like. I guess think personally in my life that like okay, so you like someone and then something bad about them comes out and you no longer support them.
Right.
I think you can still enjoy what you liked before you knew what
Right.
type of person they
Kinda like
were.
a bad
So
breakup.
am I gonna watch a new Cosby Show? No. But
Right.
if you wanted to watch the old one before you knew like what he was up to,
Right.
Right.
then I feel like that is okay.
And
It's
I feel
all
like there's
over
just there's and there's just
It's all
like
over
some
now.
there's like no pleasing some people. Granted, wrong is wrong. I'm not saying like we should be excusing that, and I'm definitely not one of the people that excuses it and gives him a jail-free card because he's black.
No.
I think that is so problematic, and I'm so over black people on social media talking
Right.
about it was just because he was coming out with his network and he had this genius idea and it's systematic. It might be, but if you know something is systematic, that should be all the more reason for you to be on your P's and Q's. What you out here acting a fool for, and you know you got big dreams, big plans,
Right.
you could have had $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion empire. And it's embarrassing that you don't. But we also can't look and say, well, it's just because they always trying to repress the black man. No, this black man did wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
And this black
admitting
man's
he
doing
did
time.
wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, he's doing time, period. Like, that gets me fired up, obviously. Because I'm tired of, like, people just, well, it's just because he's black or,
Making excuses.
Yeah, and it's like, no, like,
It's not even about the skin color.
It really
We have
isn't.
a real
It's the
issue
crime.
that needs to be.
it's the
Right.
crime.
There's a crime. Like,
I'm just-
there's a problem here.
I'm sick of it. So anybody that want to listen to it, that's listening, and you are of that belief, do not wave at me when you see me walking down
Period.
College Green. We're not cool. We are enemies.
They're canceled.
Yeah, they're canceled. There you go. They're canceled. But yeah, and on top of that, on people that we might have canceled but kind of brought back because we might kind of like them. Kanye, so recently, he's always in the center of controversy, and people are always thinking something. No, people think always something, is going on with him, which may be. But he was trying to contextualize him recently being at Fader magazine for like a little press conference, wearing a Make America Great Again hat,
Yeah.
but a Colin Kaepernick shirt.
He's a
Are you
joke.
serious?
And people were saying, like, what are you doing? And he was
I
like,
am
well,
confusion.
he said it's the message on the hat. It's not whatever. He said, and I even made it unique to me because we should want to make America great again. And then somebody from Fader commented, like, okay, but that's problematic because it was never great. So,
He's so
like, their
fake
whole
conscious.
argument.
He
Yeah,
is so
I
fake
think that's
conscious,
my
and
issue.
It's just sad.
I think that's my issue. Because it's like, I get the idea of trying to incorporate that theme and say, let's just unify, we still need to make, blah. I'm not about to be over here and make America great again because it was never
He
great.
co-signs a lot of problematic
He
people.
really does.
Which is inappropriate and something that you shouldn't be doing.
Well, I mean, this guy, what was you going to say, Eddie?
I think he means well, but he doesn't.
No, he does not mean
Ah.
well. No. You know what you're doing as a black man with power. I don't want to hear that. No, because honestly, I feel like we give people too much of the benefit of the doubt. Kanye
Yeah.
knows exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And whatever's going on in his head, he needs to take a step back and deal with his problems
Yeah.
instead of projecting that on everybody else. You know you have a platform that people look up to you, they worship you, that whatever you say, they will do, whatever you put out the vibe, then you need to use that platform in a positive way.
Yeah.
Tired of he means well. He knows the comment about slavery was
Yeah.
wrong. He knows wearing the Make America hat is wrong. He knows he's contradicting himself. He knows he looks and sounds stupid. I don't want to hear that. He knows what he's doing. He's He's a grown man, so.
And then there's like this genius narrative they keep throwing out. Well, you can have multi-layered ideas.
No.
It's one thing to have multi-layered ideas, but the center of your ideas are literally problematic, and you can't explain them enough to even see a like what good comes out of you doing this.
Now I have a devil's advocate question. So we always talk about celebrities having a platform, especially African American celebrities. Now, is it, I guess, wrong if they don't agree with what other Black people would agree with? Because I mean, he does have a platform, and you said use it in a positive way. But what if he has that platform and he doesn't want to use that in a positive way?
Like,
or
how do
what
we
he's
deal
saying
with
to
it?
him is positive.
It's positive,
but it's
right?
different than what most people agree with.
Right. So then
that's
what?
fair.
I think for him, the issue is like, well, you had previous sensibilities. Like everything that you used to rap about, you are now. Like the disrespectful dude that's disrespectful to Black women, or the one that marries the woman with plastic surgery and then has the kids by her. So you start like that idea, those themes that you rapped about and you dogged, you have become. So it's like, it's one thing to say like, okay, well, this is just who I am, and you can find my ideas problematic. I'm trying to think of somebody who's like, there's a Black artist that's like this, that has ideas that are highly contradictory to most people.
Ooh.
But I'm trying to think.
I
So
mean,
there's a what?
I can't think. She's
can't
not
think.
really famous.
Yes, yes.
Stacey
I
Dash.
can't.
Stacey Dash. Her.
Stacey Dash. She's one of the people where, do I agree with her? No, not at all, not in any context. But a lot of her beliefs that she's held, these aren't new. It's just, it came out once the presidency happened and people really she was vocal about it. But as far as her being like this, she talked to other celebrities, they're like, it's been like this. Another flip side example of that is, we could even argue Jaden Smith and Willow Smith, and how they were kind of like the alternative Black kids before there was alternative, or coming out saying that I don't believe in religion, or this is what I practice, or I practice something different than my brother, and my brother practices something. They came out as being an anomaly and being different, but they're very true to what it is they're doing and what it is they're saying. And I think that the fact still remains, like what Jennifer said, like, you can be conscious of the fact that you're being problematic. Like, you can be aware that you're stirring the pot, and I think that's what it is for Kanye. Because it's ratings and views, it's popularity, and he's still on top. So he's still on top. Same thing with Kim. Same thing with that whole family. And I'm not trying to like write off that family, or I hate that family. I don't find them entertaining.
I don't.
At
but
all.
Their kids are beautiful.
Yeah, they have beautiful kids.
They do make some cute
They have
kids.
beautiful kids.
Amazing. Like Saint
Yeah.
is so beautiful. It's so crazy.
And
Just
even
like Kanye. Sorry.
yeah, no, you're fine. And even in that context, like I can dislike or not want to associate with the family and still not come for their kids. I don't know why in this day and age people go below the belt and do that. I don't know. It's a hot mess.
You're not
but
intelligent.
yeah, no, at all.
That's the problem. Not you. The person
No,
that-
no, I understand. No, I understand.
Just
It's okay.
wanted to clarify.
No, I understood. It's okay.
Also, since you talked about Michael Jordan, I don't think that...
Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah, but I don't have time to say the B. So, I don't know if he really needs to be Superman, and that's not really a race thing. It's just like you're already in Marvel, so like what you need to go to DC for, like that's just like reach. Like we can have more Black superheroes chill. Like he doesn't need to like
Do all the roles.
write all of them.
That's a good point. I was talking to somebody about that, and they were like, trying to talk about the comparisons between DC and Marvel. But I agree with you. I'm like, Killmonger was great. Killmonger was powerful, and that was a great narrative, and we should let it ride and catch the next wave. Like,
Did you see
So-
on Twitter where someone edited him as Superman, and then they made like Ryan Reynolds and Martin Luther King Jr.
Oh,
So
no.
is he Superman, or was that just like a meme?
I think someone was saying that he should be
Somebody
because
said
he
the actor who plays him said, "I don't want to do it anymore."
I still think Childish Gambino should be Spider-Man, though.
He's not
That
going to. It's his cousin.
Would be
Well,
interesting.
in the movie.
Yeah, in the but I'm saying, like, there was a narrative written like that. If he could be Spider-Man, I would want that. But I know
My
in the...
father called him a genius savant, like savant. I don't know how to say that word.
Savant.
Savant.
Yeah, because that man does everything. If you think about it, and he
does.
don't
He
even
does.
look like he should be able to
does,
do
yeah.
what he can do.
Mhm.
Because like, actor, writer, producer, all of it. I love him.
A lot of people don't.
I'm kind of
I
one
love
of those
him.
people, low key, to be honest. I
Really?
don't think
Why?
he's that good of an actor. I mean, I thought he was good in Atlanta, but like,
It
I
didn't
don't know.
require much though.
I just think like he's
Bro.
like,
It really did.
yeah, like I just think he's kind of like corny and like I don't know. I just
I
don't
love
like
him.
the way he like carries himself on the screen. I guess. I
Like,
don't
Is
like
it his
the way
look like dirty?
No, like
All his roles are pretty much the same.
yeah,
They
like I
are,
don't
like,
think
the
I don't
real
think he's that
weird.
good of an
Yeah.
actor, to be honest with you. But I mean, that's just me.
I haven't seen his stuff, so I can't comment.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Atlanta's a
that.
very good show.
From
Really?
the community to Atlanta, his character seems pretty much kind of
The
the
same.
same, just like put in different situations.
I like him musically.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think musically is where he shines.
Yeah, he should stay musically.
Yeah.
No,
I-
he should not.
I mean,
he should
not
branch.
like-
He
not-
needs to
I
branch.
mean,
I
He
mean,
should
not like
branch.
that, but he
Yeah,
should
he
definitely
branch, yeah, but-
uplift that particular part of him. He should definitely uplift that particular part of him when he does. Oh, about to throw the mic across the room.
She was.
To freedom!
Right? She
can't.
slid the mic.
Goodbye.
She slid the mic, y'all. But yeah, I feel like this week, it wasn't as much tea. I feel like, what was it, last week when it was rapid fire? I
Yeah.
feel like it was like boom, ba boom, ba boom. But this week,
I do have something to bring up. Though.
Okay, go ahead.
Can we talk about how everyone thought, well, most people thought after the whole Cardi and Nicki fight that
Mhm.
Cardi was just going to be ducked off and not be doing anything. But
Yeah,
she has
no.
been living her best life
Yes.
this week in Paris and Milan.
Yes.
Dolce & Gabbana has called her back. Like, she was at the fashion show. I think she's doing so well for someone who threw his shoes at somebody at a fashion event, and we all thought that was ghetto, and he called her back, like, come to my shows and live your best life in Europe.
Because they like to make money off black people.
You're
You
right,
forget.
but I
You
mean,
forget.
I want to look at the fact that she actually rose above that.
I feel like
and
it's
not a
redeemable.
problem right now.
It
I
is
feel like what she
redeemable. I don't
did-
think that was the
Yeah.
end of the world.
What she did was redeemable.
Mhm.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah, and like,
And
She's
she
been
forgets.
killing
Solange
it.
Yes.
threw down in the elevator.
you feel me?
Yes.
And then
One
dropped
video.
a seat at the table, and everyone was like, "Yes, queen."
Ethereal, peace, meditation.
Right.
Like she ain't.
Like she
Wah.
has just
Yeah,
like
like she
she
ain't
for that
wah.
elevator.
I feel like she still probably to this day don't like him. Like I feel like they're at family functions, and she sit at the other end of the table and
Like
just
I
be
should have
looking
hit
at
you
him.
hard.
She hit him-
Right. Like
she
I
hit him
should
with
have
a-
got you.
Right.
She hit him
If
with
them
a.
security
If
guards
that
wasn't
elevator ride was longer, you know what I mean?
there, yeah, that would have been it.
I agree. It's a lot. That's another person. I feel like we gotta quit looking at celebrities as people that don't have emotions and
Right.
they can't like.
For sure.
There's a like if we think about the culture on this campus, like we've met people that are problematic and it's like, oh, so you just talk to people, you live to be messy. We've met people and they do something and it's like, oh, okay, like you're mad talented, you're mad creative, blah blah blah. We've met people, you know what I mean? So I feel like there's different varieties of people, and that still applies to celebrities. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't. Like sometimes I really think about that and I'm like, what is it like to be a celebrity and to be put on
We
such a
only
pedestal?
see like one part of them.
Exactly.
Really. Like we don't see like the whole picture, and that's what we gotta understand. You
Yeah.
know, we see the one part that like we worship. Like even with Kanye, we just see like the publicity that he gets,
Mhm.
but we don't like actually see like the person behind the scenes. And
I'm
things like
curious.
that.
I want to see Kanye behind the scenes. I want to see how he is.
You might be the same way. You never know. But I mean, like,
T.I. in the interview in the Breakfast Club says that T.I. had a conversation with him, and it's not like Kanye didn't make sense on everything that he's trying to do. Kanye makes complete sense, but he just doesn't know what to do with it. So he just kind of he does what he wants to do before he thinks about it.
That sound like he don't make sense to me.
Mhm.
That sound real confusing.
He is confusion.
Yeah, I don't know. Because that's the thing. I'm not about to sit here and rationalize like, well, he kind of knows what he, like, no. What you put out is problematic.
Next.
Right, I'm sorry. Like, and I used to love Kanye, so it's not even an attack on
We used
him.
to love Kanye.
Yeah, and I don't
He's
dog
so
Kanye. I just,
broken.
hey, Yandi comes out tomorrow though, so
I'm gonna still listen to it.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
see, I didn't, yeah, y'all.
But what about
What's
Quarter
that?
5 though?
I
I
haven't
haven't finished
listened
listening
yet.
to it. I'm on
All right, well let me
song
not.
5.
Maybe
Did you
next
like it?
week. No, I ain't touch it yet.
I haven't.
I like Black though. That Black album. That,
Yes.
I
Yeah,
know,
slack.
Slack.
I thought it
I
was
like
Slacks.
Slacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, his name was confusing. He should have really kind
That
of
album
thought
is
that.
dope.
Yes, it
If
is.
anybody doesn't
His
listen,
album is
please
super
I don't
dope.
think
listen.
I've ever listened to him.
Oh, you gotta listen to it.
He's a big vibe person.
Yeah.
Very good.
A lot of
vibes.
albums came out this week.
It really did.
You got Kanye's coming out. You have Lil Wayne's that came out. You have Logic's that came out. Only reason I'm excited for Logic is because that album cover seems like his old stuff, and he was better when he was older than.
I don't know nothing about no Logic. So.
He's really.
Eminem,
Good.
even Eminem just released an album not too long ago, like a week ago.
I know.
I
I was
didn't
watching
know.
that thing twice.
We
It
were
was
talking about it.
great.
it was
You
nice.
liked
It
it?
was great. It's his best album for a while. Since for a while.
That's a shame, and I love M.
I do too. I do too.
It doesn't have a
But
whole
he's
lot of
problematic
replay, though.
too.
What?
See, and that's why I
the problem,
haven't.
especially because it's the same thing. How you get in trouble for the same stuff? That's just you're a moron at that point.
You don't
if
care,
get in trouble
Eminem?
for the same stuff.
But I
You
feel
know,
like a lot of rappers are just problematic people in the
Well, that's a whole other problem because who said it? Was it Bam or no? It might have been you, Jace, that said they all need to go to a conference or something.
That's what Conference. Communicate.
Yes.
What is the problem?
Yes.
He's been
Why are
selling
we
that
not-
idea for like the past
Hello.
5 weeks. Somebody
Really?
reached out to him and
Jay
said
Pop
this
and Rap
conference up.
Summit.
You need to start it. Call it.
I don't
Summon
have
it.
the time.
He don't even got time to say the B and Michael B. Jordan's name.
He don't.
He don't have time. No time. No time.
So funny.
But we are going to go ahead and move on to our next segment. I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in to our celeb entertainment gossip segment where we try to give y'all the relevant on what's going on. Stay tuned for a really bomb main segment.
Yeah.
See ya.
Go on.
You are now tuned into our main segment.
Main segment.
Took us forever to get here because we were goofing off in the studio, but it's all good. We're back. So, I wanted to start off the conversation based around a film that just came out. And Jace brought so many good points into the discussion via our group chat. You always do. You know that. And so the movie we're discussing is Napoli Ever After. So for those of you that have seen it, chime in. But we're also going to have some discussion outside of the movie. Certain points were brought up from the movie. So I'm just going to contextualize the movie for those that haven't seen this on Netflix, so get your life. And basically... it's just a film about a black woman, and it kind of chronicles her journey to natural hair, also her journey to independence, her journey to finding herself, her journey working her way through relationships, etc. And so it starts off, she has beautiful long hair, she works at a marketing firm, she's noticed, and then she's in this relationship, he doesn't propose, and she just kind of feels insecure about that, so she cuts her hair, dyes her hair. So it basically just chronicles, and it's supposed to be an example of the way, you know, black women go through changes with their hair. So post me seeing the film, I thought it was great, I thought it was comedic. I liked the little anecdotes in between, I liked the graphics in between, I thought the cinematography was great. And I love Sanaa Lathan's character, and I love that all the hair changes that her character went through, she actually went through. So when it came time for cutting her hair, she was in the mirror actually cutting her hair. When it came time for her hair to be blonde and pulled, that wasn't a wig, that was her hair. So I lived for that. But Jace brought up some good points, and if you just want to reiterate those points, and then I have some different things to segue into that.
Yikes, I don't remember what did I say.
So one of the things that you stated, you know, was how a lot of black women felt like her character was over-exaggerated to the point that it was, like, insulting. Or, like, it was just over the top, too dramatic.
So my, two of my close friends who are black and deal and have dealt with, like, hair struggles felt like it was not, I guess, a super accurate portrayal, but you made a good point that they kind of were, like, using comedy to, like, lighten the subject, so that's fair. I don't know, to me personally, it was a little trivialization, is that the word?
Trivialized, yeah.
Yeah, it was trivialized a little bit, and I didn't really find it super funny. Didn't really care for it, I guess. I like the ending, though, that she didn't end up with anyone. That was, like, a change to romantic comedies, because
Dang,
normally
spoiler
they
alert.
always...
Well,
No, I'm just
that's
saying.
not the
Somebody
main
else-
thing.
Somebody actually told me that before.
Okay, so that's, like,
Yeah.
different than romantic comedies, so... I like that part, but, like, I don't know, you say stuff so I can respond more, because I'm just...
Well, one of the big points was that, for those of you, this isn't going to be a major make or break in the movie, so you know, and this isn't whatever. But in the movie, her first partner is in his residency for med school to be a doctor. I think at this time he might be a nurse or he's practicing. Handsome, lighter skin, very well put together. And then her second guy that she meets, I don't necessarily think I could say it's her partner, but the next dude that she's infatuated with, is fond of, is a black man that owns his own salon and is wanting to start a natural hair care line. And so, I don't know if y'all remember in the film, through her mom's response, you know, like, oh, like, he's this and that. You're going to leave, you know, somebody who's going to be a doctor for this, for somebody that does hair. And so from that idea, a black woman said that she felt, she commented that the movie's problematic because it feeds into the idea that the only way black women can be happy is if they date down. So as if they date a man who, you know, owns a salon or something, as opposed to, like, why can't a black woman date a doctor and he still love her natural hair? So, like, why did it take for her, you know what I mean, to meet the man, the single parent dad with the kid, you know, in order for her to be happy? And then the flip side of that idea was, you know, well, what's wrong with finding love with a single parent dad? And that's not dating down. He owned his own salon. That's just the profession he chose. So I wanted to get you all's take on that. You know, do you think that black women date down or settle? And I want black women's perspective too, just because it's more convenient or because they know that they'll be appreciated.
That's a good question.
For instance, if a man with money, you know, black women might feel like a man with money requires more. He requires the weaves, nails constantly always being done, the heels, that aesthetic.
In which you take his debit card and you
Exactly.
go get it done.
Exactly. But the fact that you have to acquire to that lifestyle, and the idea behind this thought process is that if you date a man like the mechanic or the janitor or just, you know, the normal 9-to-5 guy, that he'll accept you in more of a natural state, or that he requires less.
Okay, so are we answering
both?
Yeah,
Whatever
because I'm
part.
like, there's
Whatever
so many
part.
spectrums.
Just chime in.
I do believe black women settle, and I believe the culture that we live in right now, it's a lot that has to do with going through something. So I feel like they need to go through something with a man. Like they need to not, you know how women love that struggle, overcoming that struggle. That's like the story, the true love
We've
story.
been through so much.
Yeah, but that's not the true love story. So I feel like a lot of women do settle, and I think they settle because they don't feel like starting over. They settle because they have so much history with this person. So I feel like, especially young women, like, I don't know about, like, women, like, in their 20s and 30s. Well, 20s is young, but, like, even 30s is young. But I feel like definitely women our age are settling right now. That's my take on it, because I just feel like our culture is just so jacked up, and they just feel like they need
But do you think that by dating a man, or even just the idea that in order for a man to accept a black woman, and let's just go with the same motif as the movie, so a woman that cut all her hair off is starting over in life, new job, new career, do you feel like the only way you'd be accepted is if you dated down? Because dating down to someone, they're going to be like, oh, well, you still seem like you have it together, as opposed to trying to go after the doctor.
I don't, oh, we're going to go ahead.
I don't know, because, I mean, if you think about it, I don't feel like in that process it has anything to necessarily do with dating down or dating up. I think there are people that have been in that particular situation and, you know, can be natural and date a man who has that high status and he can love her for her. But if you think about the storyline and dynamics, this is how she grew up. So she grew up feeling like she had to be perfect 24/7. And he also fell in love with her perfectness and always required her to be perfect. So if you're in a situation where two people that have these stereotypes or this dynamic, it was like she couldn't be, like, down to earth, because he never expressed he really wanted her to be down to earth. So at that problem, that's a communication problem between themselves. But the concept of it being, oh, she had to date down, I don't even think that was necessarily the case. I didn't look at it that way. I looked at it as somebody who didn't see her as perfect, and that was the point where she had to be broken down by somebody who saw her that way and let her know that this is not you. And that's when she was transitioning to being more down to earth, as she found that guy. So that's how I looked at it. I didn't look at it like, oh, she needed to date a hairdresser that has a daughter, and now all of a sudden, natural life, she's herself. No, she was broken down by her ex not wanting to marry her, and him literally kind of calling her out for being perfect, and her own realization that she's been trying to be perfect all her life and not being herself, or what form of herself she wanted to be.
Yeah, I didn't think the argument held much ground, especially since Jace made the great point, like, she was alone in the end, by choice. She walked out and looked at the dude and said, you know, well, congratulations.
And from her standpoint, I don't think she thought she was dating down.
No.
Her mother thought that because her mother was materialistic. She didn't feel as if she was dating down. But also, I guess I kind of feel like, which is whatever, because it's a romantic comedy, but I just feel like after a situation like that, after ending a relationship that you've been in for like 2 years, like, now you have to find someone who thinks you're beautiful with short hair for you to love yourself. Like, I'm not saying that, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, she could have just, like, been bad all by herself. Like, we didn't even need him. Like, they could have just done something else, and her, like, going on, like she had her two best friends, which we knew nothing about. They were irrelevant. Just they're saying
Yeah,
stereotypical
that's
and
very
racist
true.
comments or whatever.
Yeah.
But they could have, as a group of girls, went on, you know what I mean? I thought it would have been so more powerful, like if after she shaved her hair, instead of calling her mom, she called her friends, they shaved off their hair too, and they went on this girls trip, something powerful,
Right.
like empowering. But no, instead she had to go with a man who liked her natural hair, so now she likes her natural hair because he liked it. So it was just like a mess, but like there was what bothered me is they pointed out a lot of flaws in society, but did not attempt to make a comment on them, to reverse them, to show another perspective, to show a way to correct them. Nothing, because the mom makes a comment about how the guy is straight and owns his hair salon. Why can't a black man own a hair salon and be straight? Like, why can't he? So they didn't comment on that, saying, you know what, he can. They just let that slide. Also, her fiance, I'm sitting here and just realized, is like insane, because he yelled at her saying that you're too perfect, you don't show your character.
Yes,
but then at the end, she jumps in the pool and then he cops an attitude.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so you're miscommunicating, you don't know what you want, so you're out here playing
Well,
me.
that's me.
So, right.
Sorry.
Well,
That's- you know, so
It's okay.
Okay,
that's
most
a problem.
men.
And then
I'm gonna do the same
also,
thing.
I'm not saying it's like this deep, but you have to look at the doctor was wealthy, successful, the one that she should quote unquote be with, and he was light skinned, she was light skinned, and the man that was beneath her was dark skinned.
Right.
He was the only dark skinned
That's
character
what I
in the
think
show
was
besides her father.
Exactly.
And so that's also annoying. I'm not saying that they roast her, but also maybe she could have, the movie could have been about her confronting her mom.
Yes.
Confronting her mom.
Yes.
And then maybe the mom's like, you know what, let me cut my hair, and they go on this journey together.
I
Because
agree.
also, a lot of times we talk about, well, why do black families have to be broken and yada yada. Well, we could have showed a movie where it's a family coming together, because that happens. You can have a relationship with tension and grow back together, and that's what they could have shown. It could have been funny and it could have been beautiful, and they just didn't do
You said a key point, and this was my frustration in the film, and you hit the nail on the head. I don't like her friend group. I feel like having them in the movie was irrelevant.
Yeah.
One, because granted, yes, black women aren't just forced to have just black female friends, not at all. But her friends weren't even supportive, and the friend she had with natural hair, like, what was your...
One I'm pretty
What
sure
was
is
your role?
Hispanic.
Yeah.
I think in real life, but
She's
in the
a-
movie she was like, yeah, but you know, when you have that Jew-fro, I was like, she's
Yeah, I was
Hispanic.
confused.
What are you telling me she had a Jew-fro for?
I was
And that's also like
confused.
contributing to the problem
Yes.
of not liking natural hair.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I thought they were not supportive.
Problematic.
They were not supportive at all. Like, your girl just come up with blonde hair. You talk about, well, that's a secretary dress. Change it. Go out. And then when they take her to the club, they leave her.
Yes.
Who
And then
does
she
that?
leaves
They
by
left her and
herself.
she leaves
Who
with
does
a
that?
person.
Also,
Yes.
Would you
the
able to
white
understand
dude.
that
Yes.
part?
Listen, I'm
irritated
okay
me?
with I don't have a problem with interracial. My problem was when they're back at the house, he was like, I knew that you were like kinky or whatever based on your hair.
Yep.
I'm like, well, okay, so you were fetishizing her
Yep.
because she was a black girl with blonde hair, so you knew that she'd be kinky. Like, what?
I think that was a point they wanted to bring in there, but like, they should have,
talking about it in a way
Yeah.
that's moving the conversation forward or helping anyone. They're literally just doing it for entertainment purposes to cash a check, and so I just didn't like that, because they could have just done better.
Or she could have responded to that situation, or it could have been like, what? But
Right.
instead, she reaches for honey and
Well, she
like
was
gets...
So
drunk,
cliche.
She was.
No,
She
see, and I
She
said that
was,
to my
but-
friend. My friend disagreed. I was like, she's clearly intoxicated, and he
Right.
clearly seems sober, and that's something
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
like.
And
because
that's
it
over
happens
loneliness.
in real.
Yeah.
That happens in real life all the time. The woman is always super drunk, and the man seems like peachy keen, and I hate that, and it disgusts me. It's gross. So in that moment, I also didn't like that either.
Because that's
because it's like,
unrealistic.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
well, it's not unrealistic. I see it
Unrealistic in the
happening,
case of
but it's
nothing going
perpetuating it.
down.
Right,
Like,
and she
that's
just
not
leaves.
realistic. She just
Especially-
leaves,
right,
and he doesn't hold on
exactly.
to her. No, unrealistic in that
It's
case.
just crazy.
Yeah.
So
But-
what grade would y'all give it?
F.
Dang, I wouldn't give it a F. I'd give it a B minus.
I didn't even see the movie yet, but the
I was
fact that
gonna
she
say,
cut her
I
hair
haven't
off
seen it either.
and it went straight to Netflix, like,
Right, and
if I'm gonna
she
shave my head, I need to be on somebody's screen.
said it went straight to Netflix.
Like,
That's a good
that's
point.
like 50 Cent when he lost all that weight and it went
To DVD.
to DVD.
That's worse than
What movie was
Netflix.
that?
That's worse than
Well,
yeah,
what
that's
you said.
What movie was
I
that
wasn't
again?
on DVD.
What movie was that?
I forgot, but it was a
What movie was
mess.
that?
Also, I
never
read
even
an
saw
article
it.
saying that like they missed the point of showing how hair can be a beautiful form of art for some black women,
Mhm.
and that's also something that could have shown it instead of it being a traumatic situation. You know, it could have been something enlightening and beautiful, and they didn't show
Right.
that.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. Go ahead.
I think what they did show that I really liked about it was the concept of like I am not my hair. If we think about like NDRE's video, and just how for some women our attachment and how we feel is to our hair. Like I've had periods where I felt like if my hair wasn't done or if it didn't look a certain way, or when I had my natural hair out, I didn't feel most beautiful. I felt beautiful when I had wigs or weave in my head, and so I looked at that as. Yeah, that concept part of it is true. Maybe it didn't go forward with the conversation, or it didn't do more of like, oh, what's the situation now, or how this is how we solve it. But I did like the dynamic of she was tied down to her hair and felt everything about it. But when she cut it off, put a scarf on and went to work, she was feeling down because the men weren't looking at her like they normally do whenever she walks through the office. Like, she was not feeling herself. She did a horrible job at the presentation. Like, she just felt very, off and felt unattractive. And you could see it in her eyes that she felt very unattractive. And I thought that was cool because, like, what we did see progress is that she did learn to love herself in her skin and without her hair. And there was an attachment to it. She didn't feel her worth or value was attached to her long, luscious hair. Like, it was, okay, I can cut it off when I could be cute bald, and then I can deal with the new growth and learn to love that new natural growth and, like, have my hair curly. So that's what I liked about it. And I think that's really what the concept probably was.
Of the movie,
Yeah, that was the concept. And so I think if they nailed that part, that's fine. But, I mean, of course, everything else was a little bit problematic. But they nailed the part they needed to, for her to love herself with her, like with her in her natural state. And I think that was the message that needed to come across.
You are now listening to The Relevant Radio Show, recording out of Studio B through WOUB. You can listen to us every Sunday at 6 p.m. on 1340 a.m. or online at woub.org/listen. And please check out our Instagram at TheRelevantOU_. That's the same as our Twitter. And I think that's how we got Twitter, Instagram. So check those out.
Bloopers. I got you now. It's recording. It's okay though. Y'all can act the fool now.
Is it ready?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just waiting on y'all. What is going on here?
A lot.
Are we recording? Are we live? Are we on the air?
Did the beat drop? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, take 5.
Right.
This is Tom Evers, and this is the 5 o'clock news.
Okay. All right, I'm for real.